Hi, it's Lauren. Thanks for joining me in my craft room today. I'm really excited to be hopping along with some of my craft friends for the Lawn Fawn Fans video hop. Instead of a winter hop, we went ahead and made a Valentine's Day theme hop, and we're going to be using a mix of older and new, all kinds of different products for inspiration for this upcoming holiday, and maybe some inspiration for some of the goodies you've bought and you need to actually use, kind of like me. So I grabbed two new die sets. I have So Damn Much and Would You Be Mine. I've already stamped, colored, and fussy cut them out. I used the Crunchy Leaf brown die and my Ohuhu art markers to color them in. I also already did my Woodgrain panel. This is just a piece of Kraft cardstock, and I used the Woodgrain hot foil plate along with some rose gold hot foil from Spellbinders. Now that my foiling is done, I'm going to do some die cutting. So I'm starting with one of my dens. This is the stitch dens, and I'm going to create a cute little beaver lodge, and it's also going to be a shaker window. So once I have that die cut, I can start die cutting the rest of my goodies so that way I can move on to the shaker after. So I'm grabbing my heart garland in portrait and my XOXO, as well as the little hearts from that same garland die set. And I grabbed the textured canvas cardstock in two different shades of pink and did all of my die cutting. So now I want to work on the shaker. I made sure to cut a piece of the dark pink textured cardstock that was large enough to cover the back side of my shaker. And then I'm going through all of my little sequin blends, trying to find one that I really like. I settle on a retired sequins from sparkle blends called Love Hearts, and I just really loved all the different pink and red and black sequins inside of it, and of course lots of hearts, which is really going to go with the theme of this card. So I have my shaker background. I just cut out a piece of acetate to be the foreground of my shaker, or the cover of my shaker, and I'm just going to add some double-sided adhesive on all four sides of the acetate, and I will glue that right to the back of my shaker window with that wood grain hot foiled Kraft cardstock. Next, I have some foam strips. These are a little thicker than your average foam strip because I want to make sure I have plenty of room for all of my different shaker bits. And I pull off both sides of the release paper because I just find it to be easier to curve and bend my foam adhesive around different shapes. So like this stitched den shape. Once I have my shaker fully enclosed, I'm going to accidentally dump quite a lot of sequins inside my shaker, but once I'm happy with the amount of cute little bits inside of my shaker, I'm going to add in that dark pink cardstock, making sure that the canvas side is facing inside the shaker. So when you look in the window, you can also see the texture of that cardstock. I'm going to add that foam adhesive all around the rest of the back side of my Kraft cardstock, as well as some wet glue behind the pink paper. And then I'm going to adhere this down to a top folding A2 size card base using some Nina Ultra Thick Solar White cardstock. And with that, the shaker part of this card is done. So let's move on to decorating. I'm going to start with decorating my front of my card with the XOXO sentiment. So I am going to glue the dark one on top of the light pink. So that light pink cardstock kind of creates a drop shadow. And then I'm going to use that garland frame to figure out the placement of my XOXO. I also just want to make sure I have room for my stamped images as well. So while I'm gluing my XOXO down, I just wanted to remind you that you can find the next crafter in the hop down below in my description, and you can also get all the details of how you can enter to win a chance for a Lawn Fawn gift card for their online shop, which is so exciting. We love sharing inspiration of Lawn Fawn, and then now you get to go possibly shopping with a gift card, which is really exciting. So thank you to Carrie Stamps or Carrie Rhodes from Carrie Stamps for coordinating this hop as always, and for sponsoring our hop for this quarter. Okay, so my XOXO is glued down. So now I took my large log and glued that down as well. And I'm going to just quickly go through gluing down my different cattails and my different tufts of grass around this log. So I'm just using my tweezers and some wet glue and placing them around the log, kind of using the top of my XOXO sentiment as the grounding point for all of my images. And once I have all those down, I'm going to take my little logs that I colored. I think I stamped 10 total. And again, just using my tweezers and wet glue to glue them around my die cut opening. So creating that little beaver lodge, which is what beavers' homes are called. I had to Google it before I recorded this video, but they are called lodges. So now that all of those images are glued down, I'm going to add my garland frame. So I'm just adding some adhesive, double-sided adhesive tape to the back side and then gluing that onto my card base. That way my garland kind of goes across my little beaver lodge. Now I die cut a bunch of those hearts so they can cover the heart cutouts of my garland in the frame. So I'm just using a jewel picker and wet glue to glue all of those little hearts down. Once all the hearts are glued down, I'm going to grab my foam adhesive so I can add in my last two things. So I have my beavers, but I also am going to stamp a sentiment. So I have some white cardstock and I'm going to emboss I Heart You So Damn Much, which is my favorite sentiment. And I'm going to use some embossing ink and some rose gold embossing powder from Lawn Fawn, just really keeping on theme with all of the pink and rose gold on this card. I'm going to go ahead and just skip this part because I know this is a hop and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I use my heat embossing heat gun to melt that embossing powder down. And once it was cooled, I'm going to cut it out with my little mini paper trimmer. So I'm letting that cool off to the side. I'm going to grab some foam adhesive. This time I'm using a little bit thinner of a foam because I already have a lot of dimension on my card from the shaker window. And I covered the back side of my little hugging beavers and I'm going to glue them to the center of my card, kind of overlapping the XOXO a bit in front of that large log and all of those little cattails. So here I am grabbing my little mini trimmer so I can trim around my sentiment. I'm going to try to get it as close as I can around my sentiment, and then I'm going to also pop it up with that same thinner foam adhesive. This is from Thermoweb. You can find all the different types of adhesive I use in my basic supply list down below in my description. And I'm going to do my best to center it to my card and have it overlap across the center of the XOXO jumbo sentiment there. And with that, that's going to finish off my stamping and gluing, but of course we need to add just a little bit more bling. So I'm going to grab one of my pops of color. This is in Snowflake. It's a clear kind of iridescent glitter, just to add a little bit more shine. I did that all over my pink hearts on the garlands as well as on the bottom of my large XOXO sentiment. Here is a final look at my shaker card. I hope you had fun watching my process and that you have a lot of fun hopping along today and seeing all of the different inspiration using Lawn Fawn products. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll click like, and if you're new here, I hope you'll subscribe and come back. As always, you can find everything I use down below in the description box. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye!